Hello and welcome to part 3 of my incremental game tutorial series. In this part we'll try and make the game a bit prettier. We'll make the buttons or we'll give the buttons a custom font, set up a background image. We'll make the buttons a bit better looking. I'm gonna make them transparent for this. And then I thought I'd introduce the scrollable panels because I think this tutorial will be a bit shorter than the other one, so I think we can manage to do that in this one. So for the fonts, um, you can get a font of your own that you like on thefont.com. I'll leave the link for the description in that. I already found a font that I would like or that I'm gonna use, and I put it on my Google Drive. So if you want to use the same shit that I have, there's a link for that in the description as well. I also included a picture of our background and a bit of a grass sort of floor or something. It's nothing fancy at all. I literally just whipped them up in Photoshop in like 1 minute. But first off, let's create a folder called fonts. Let's create a folder called sprites. So once you downloaded that, just drag the font inside the fonts folder and the sky and the ground JPEG into our sprites folder. You can change the fonts with a script, but we're not going to do that. And yeah, we're just gonna do it the kind of sort of hard way. Really, you want to change the fonts at the start of your project, but since we didn't do that, we're gonna have to do this. So we're gonna have to find all the text elements, and I'm just gonna select them all, holding Control. We don't have that much stuff anyway now, so it's not too much to worry about. So just drag the font in. I'm gonna reduce or increase the size a bit. I already know that for all of my lines to be visible inside these buttons, they have to be font size 23, so I'm just gonna change this. And again, don't do this in play mode. All the changes you do in play mode, they're not gonna save. And also I think my text right in these two buttons aren't completely vertically aligned, so I'm just gonna fix that a bit. Around there I think is good. So that's literally it. We just changed the fonts of our game. So now for the background images, we're gonna create an empty game object inside our canvas, and it's just right click and create empty. This is gonna be sort of like a folder, only it's not, but let's just call this background and set the anchor to stretch, and this is gonna stretch in all positions. So we're gonna set the edges to be 0, 0, 0, 0, so it's gonna stretch to the entire size of our game at all points. Inside of this, we need to create a UI image. I'll call this sky, and then just simply drag in our sky sprite to the source image. As you can see now, this background covers the bottom. That's because this background is on the bottom, so it's kinda reversed of how you would think it works. So for this to be back or behind everything, we need to put it at the very top inside our canvas. Go back to the sky, make this also stretch in all directions, and set this to 0, 0, 0, 0. So now we got a background. Let's create another image for our ground, and I'll simply call it ground. And now it's actually reversed. So now the ground need to be below the sky. I don't even, you know. But whatever. Let's set this to stretch vertically or horizontally. Sorry, anchored to the bottom. So this one. It's gonna be. Oh, actually, let's put in the sprite first. Let's set it to 0 left and 0 right, so it stretches horizontally. The Y position is going to be 0 as well, and the height is going to be 380. Or actually, the Y position needs to be half that of the height, I think. So this needs to be 190, and this needs to be 95. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Now I want the buttons to be a bit transparent. You could set the buttons to blue. Actually, let's see how that works. Uh, uh, I'm gonna leave them white and just drag down the alpha for the transparency until to a point where they look blue, but they're gonna like adapt to the background color, which I think looks really neat. So I'm gonna leave it at 159. That looks kind of good. For these two buttons, the one that displays the gold per click and gold per second, let's experiment with what looks good. Maybe like a brown color. You can also use this tool to pick colors from anywhere. You can just make this a bit lighter. But you know, these are gonna display gold per second, so maybe they want to be a bit gold. Actually, fuck this. I'm just gonna leave it white. Whatever. You can do whatever you want with this. Or actually, I'm gonna set them to 159 alpha as well. So now we've done that, and this wasn't a very long tutorial, so I'm gonna show you how to make the scrollable panels as well. It's really quite fast, I hope. I'm gonna show you how to make a left panel, and then you're just gonna have to do exactly the same way to get the right panel. Okay, so inside our canvas, let's go under UI and create a panel. I'm gonna want this to stretch vertically, so up and down, and I want it anchored to the left side. This is gonna be our left panel. So we will need this. I'll call this left panel as well. I want it to be 300 wide, and to get it aligned to the left side, the X position needs to be half of the width, so 150. But I want to have a 10 pixel padding, so let's put it to 160. Now I'm gonna duplicate this panel, and I'm gonna put the duplicate version inside of this panel, and I'm gonna call it scroll panel. Now I'm gonna drag all of these 3 buttons inside the scroll panel, and I'm gonna give the outer panel the game or the component called scroll rect. This is gonna be this is basically gonna be how this is gonna scroll, and we only want it to scroll in the vertical axis, so deselect the horizontal axis. You can fiddle around with the settings right here, but I want the deceleration rate to be 0.001. Yeah, now we need to add the component of grid layout onto our scroll panel. we're gonna set the start axis to vertical, and we're gonna set the cell size to 300 times 100. So currently it looks kind of good. Also, I want a 10 pixel top and bottom padding on our panel itself, so I'm gonna add that now. Here we go. And can't think of anything else. Oh, also the scroll panel needs to be anchored to the top, and it's gonna stretch horizontally, so we need this. I'm gonna set the height to 900, and then again the Y position, half of that, so minus 450. Since we added padding to the left already, we don't need to have any padding right here. And this should basically be working, which is not, because we need to go into the left panel, which has the scroll rect script on it, and we need to drag our scroll panel inside the content that's gonna scroll. Let's try this again. So now it works beautifully. If you wanted more buttons, or if you have more buttons, it's still gonna work if you use the grid layout group. But if you followed my tutorial exactly and just have 3 buttons, you can just duplicate these, and these will stack on top of each other. So you can have as many as you want. If you wanted even more than this, just set the height to a higher value and the Y position to half of that. So yeah, this is going to be it for this tutorial. One last thing, if you don't want this to be visible on the background, you can just set the alpha of the scroll panel and the left panel to 0. So I'm going to select both of them at the same time, go into the color and drag down the alpha entirely, and it's still going to work for the scroll panel. So there you go, this is going to be it for this tutorial. I can't remember what I was going to show you in the next tutorial, but I'm sure it's going to be great. I had some requests that I might go through. But yeah, if you have any other requests that you would like to see, just comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you like what I do. It's really worth a lot to see you guys show appreciation for this. And yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.